Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zelbo Tech, and this past week we heard a lot of news about iPhone 15. We're expecting new iPhones very soon, at least new colors. iOS 16.4 Beta 3 is expected this week or next. We'll talk about that and more in this week's news update for the week of March 6th, 2023. Now the first thing is, Apple's VP of iCloud, iMessage, and FaceTime infrastructure, Michael Abbott, is leaving Apple. Jeff Robin will be taking over according to Bloomburg and has been at Apple for some time and is known as the creator of iTunes. So that shouldn't be too big of a transition, but is something that's changing internally. Now, the Apple savings account that's included with Apple Card, or expected to be included very soon, is apparently just around the corner, as Goldman Sachs, who issues Apple Cards, will run the program and has updated the Apple Card customer agreement with more information about daily cash elections. So that's something we could expect as soon as this week. That's something Apple can push to all phones. You won't need iOS 16.4 for that necessarily, and it seems to be ready. It could be as soon as today, could be tomorrow or another day, or maybe in the future. Now, Apple is also updating some phone users, allowing them to use pay between phones. We've had that feature built into iOS where you can just tap to pay instead of using a Square reader or something else. And if you have a business and you're using Wix.com, you can now use the iPhone to iPhone contactless payment option for your business. Apple's been rolling this out slowly and is now more available than ever, but hopefully it will just roll out to everyone very soon. Now, we're hearing more and more about TikTok possibly being banned in the United States. This is according to a Bloomburg article and others that say U.S. lawmakers step up the push to ban TikTok with a bill this week. This is a bipartisan bill that has the best potential to actually go through this time around. Now, there's a lot of hurdles they need to get in front of to actually make this a possibility, but it is something that is a possibility. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Now, a new story from The Information says that Apple has planned to use micro-LED technology starting with the iPhone X, but they weren't able to make it happen at a reasonable enough price, and they had a lot of defects with it. So the iPhone X, they wanted to actually implement that technology that no one else had. However, we still don't have it on many displays. Samsung has some displays that currently has it, but they're quite expensive. So we may never see those, or it just may take many years to get that cost down. Either way, it would be great to have OLED replaced with micro LED. It would be more color accurate over time, possibly less power usage, or be more power efficient, and could have other benefits such as being much brighter than OLED. So maybe we'll see that eventually, but so far we haven't. Apple Maps has been updated in Norway, Finland, and Sweden with the updated Apple Maps view. So we could have a 3D view and then maybe explore and have it give us much more detailed information like we have in different cities around the world with 3D models of different buildings and much more. If you're seeing this already, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Now, Apple has regularly updated activity challenges on the Apple Watch throughout the year, and this month it's for International Women's Day on Wednesday, March 8th. They sent out an email regarding this. You can see here with different training highlights and more, artist spotlights, and even some new activity badges. So that's something that we could see roll out very, very soon. You'll see there's the 2023 activity badge along with other awards as well. So that should start as soon as Wednesday. Now, if you use Google Chrome on your Mac, Google has extended the battery life with improvements to energy saver mode. So Google Chrome on iOS doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you just want it to sync with Google activities across different devices, because it's basically a reskinned version of Safari. But on the Mac, it's its own separate app. They've increased the battery life by 30 minutes overall, allowing you now to watch YouTube for 18 hours straight on a 13-inch MacBook Pro M2. So it's not a huge increase, but it is a 30-minute increase. Hopefully they'll continue to get up there with what Safari can do as well. Apple announced this week that they'd be investing in expanding the Munich Design Center with a $1 billion investment over the next 6 years. So that's something that should boost the economy there, and also they'll expand that design center overall in Germany. Now, we're hearing this week, as soon as tomorrow, we could see an all-new iPhone 14, but in a yellow color. This is expected to launch as soon as tomorrow, according to the Japanese blog Adakara. The blog has said that Apple plans to brief some members of the press, and likely they probably have it in hand already so that we can see videos about it. It's expected to launch on Tuesday, the 8th of March, so we could see that as soon as tomorrow, along with new spring cases for leather and probably silicone as well. So they'll update their cases overall, and we'll have some new spring colors as well. However, if you want this case that I've been showing in many of my videos, this is the Case-Q Magic Stand case, and Case-Q has sponsored this video. It comes in the new clear purple and clear black as well, and then also has the traditional clear blue, deep purple, and space black colors. It's a protective case that adds grip, it looks great, and has raised bezels around the camera and also the display to protect them, and it also has a hidden built-in stand. So this stand is also magnetic and supports wireless charging through MagSafe. The stand allows for a 40 to 120 degree angle and allows you to use it in portrait mode or horizontal as well. I'll leave a link to it in the description below, and be sure to use code ZOLOTECH for a little bit of a discount. Now, Apple has recently updated their trade-in values if you're upgrading your phone to a new iPhone. iPhone 13 Pro gets $30 more for a trade-in, 12 Pro Max gets an additional $20, and iPhone 7 Plus gains a $10 increase. It's not much, but it's still a move in the right direction. Apple also increased its trade-in values on some iPads, Macs, and Apple Watches. One of the bad things, though, is if we go into our settings, go to battery, and then battery health and charging, if your battery health is actually depleted to the point where you need to replace your battery because it can no longer provide the voltage needed for the processor to run at full speed, that is now more expensive. iPhones can be as much as $20 more for out-of-warranty repairs, depending on the model, iPads as much as $20 more, and Macs get a $50 price increase for their batteries, depending on device. Now again, keep in mind this is for out-of-warranty repairs, so if it's within warranty within the first year and it depletes below where it should, they'll replace it for free. But if it is out of warranty, it will cost a little bit more. There are third-party options if you want to do it yourself, though. Now, as far as deals this week, the M2 Mac Mini gets a little bit of a discount, as well as some different things with iPads and more. So I'll link those in the description if you want to be sure to check those out. There's always some great deals going on, usually from Apple being sold on Amazon. It seems to be the only place they actually discount those. Now, we're waiting for iOS 16.4 Beta 3. It's possible we could see it as soon as today or tomorrow, and just before this video today, Apple actually released iOS 16.4b, their security response update, or they call it iOS Security Response 16.4b. We had 16.4a after the update last week, and now we have b. This does not contain anything, and it's not much of an update. It's more of a test file, so you can try this out if you have a mobile device management network. So if you're pushing this to a bunch of different devices, we'll probably see more of these in the future, but it's available now at 3.8 megabytes. It's not a big update, and they also pushed another update, which is an odd one, tvOS 16.3.3. That's for the Apple TV 4K third generation only, which I wish they wouldn't do this, as it gets quite confusing as to what devices are supported on which version. So I prefer them just to push it to everything, even if it doesn't need it, just to keep everything on the same page. But 16.4 Beta 3 could be as soon as today or tomorrow or later this week. However, we don't know that 100%, as when we get around Beta 3, sometimes we have an update every other week, and sometimes it becomes weekly at that point. So we'll know as soon as Thursday at the latest. Hopefully we'll have one, though. Also, iOS 16.5 is still in development. It's been showing up in different website analytics, and we could see that probably at the end of 16.4 betas and final release, so probably the end of March or early April. So we're expecting iOS 16.4's public release probably at the end of March, more likely in April, when they start to push out more updates. Also, iOS 17 is only a few months away and expected at WWDC 2023. Usually the first full week of June is when we'll see that, along with iOS 17, watchOS 10, macOS 14, and maybe RealityOS as well. And iOS 17 isn't said to have much updated in it. However, we are seeing some changes with 16.4 that could indicate we're getting a refresh of icons to match the Mac. If we go into our name at the top in settings and go to iCloud, within advanced data protection, and I shared this in my weekly iOS update on the weekend, you'll see here that messages, backup, and voice memos now have icons that match what's on the Mac. Hopefully they're going to update these icons throughout iOS and make it consistent across iOS, iPad, and Mac. But that's something that we're seeing, and we don't know much else about iOS 17. Hopefully we'll get some stability with that in June, though, with a final release typically in September in the first or second week. Now, Apple Watch this past week, I mentioned how Apple's working on a blood glucose monitor. That would be revolutionary for a lot of people, and this feature has been something Apple's been working on for a long time, according to Mark Gurman. A day after that story was released, Apple's Vice President of Health was asked about this on an interview from a business website in India. Sumbai Desai, who's in charge of that, only said that the capabilities are really important areas, but they require a lot of science behind them. The positive thing is they didn't deny that they're working on the feature, they just said it was difficult. So hopefully we'll see that sooner rather than later. That would be revolutionary for many. We're hearing more about the upcoming iPhone 15 as Apple has to get them ready for production, get everything in place so they can make millions of them by September when they typically launch. The front glass for the upcoming iPhone 15 models was leaked the other day on Twitter by Shrimp Apple Pro and Unknown21. You can see this from the image that the Pro model does in fact have thinner bezels on the glass, which is something that's been rumored for a while. There's also been information about the volume buttons and silent switch being moved to more of a taptic style button where they don't physically move, but you would press them and feel it due to an upgraded taptic engine. You would have a taptic engine toward the buttons and also one for the regular phone down at the bottom where it currently resides. The one curious thing is the button seems to only have two spots to actually be pushed, meaning that it could be just one single button instead of two separate buttons. Also, the silent switch could transition to just more of a button push. That's something I'm not really happy about if they do that, as I like the physical switch, but it looks like that could be what they're doing based on the recent CAD drawing. With all of the different sort of renders that have been pushed out, if they're accurate, we can expect a single button for volume and a button for silent. And that's it. There's also news about the upcoming A17 processor expected to be in the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. It's said to use the new 3nm process, and according to DigiTimes, it will allow for significant upgrades to help drive sales itself. I don't know that anyone is upgrading lately due to the processor itself, as it's quite fast, but 3nm could mean battery increases that are significant and performance that's much better, and having better thermal management overall since it's a 3nm process. So that's something we definitely could benefit from. I'm not sure if people will upgrade though unless it's significant just based on the processor. The iPhone 15 is also expected to have USB-C instead of Lightning. However, to comply with different laws, they're going to have to do that, but they don't have to comply with actual chipsets inside those cables. According to recent leaker, again, Shrimp Apple Pro, if the cable is not MFI certified or certified by Apple, then the data transfer speeds and charging speeds could be limited. So Apple will have to comply with USB-C, but they don't have to comply with overall speeds based on that ruling. So they could actually lower those speeds unless you had a certified cable, which seems to make a lot of sense from Apple. There are some benefits to that as well for temperature monitoring and more, but it's something that I would just like to be universal. Now, as expected, Apple is working on a 4th generation iPhone SE. Originally, many people said that it would look like an iPhone 11, have a 6.1-inch LCD display, but the recent news says it may look more like iPhone 14 and still have a 6.1-inch display, but be an OLED display like we currently have. So that's something that apparently they've resumed work on, according to Ming-Chi Kuo, and it should be due in early 2024. But it would also have Apple's first 5G chipset that would support sub-6 but not millimeter wave, where we have the antenna on the iPhone 14s. So that's something that we could see as soon as 2024, as Apple's been working on their own chip for quite some time, and even the Qualcomm president has said will be in iPhone 16 models. So it looks like we're going to have Apple's own chipset. Hopefully it will be much better than the Intel chips we had before. Good news for anyone who really dislikes the dynamic island or notch, Apple is planning to place Face ID under the display with the iPhone 16 Pro models in 2024. This is according to Ross Young, who said that Apple actually has figured this out, and they also were recently granted a patent to put it under the display with some new technology. So the question remains is, can they do that with the camera as well and get rid of all of this and maybe just put notifications up here? So it looks like something that could change dramatically over the next few years as the iPhone continues to be updated year by year. Now, a new OLED iPad is expected to launch in 2023 with the M3 chipset, according to Mark Gurman. So they aren't going to move to micro LED, it seems. We have mini LED here, but apparently they're going to move to OLED as they haven't figured that out, or maybe costs haven't come down like I mentioned before, where they were trying that with the iPhone 10. Maybe they will figure it out by then, and they're just ordering those just in case, but either way, I would love to see micro LED take the place of OLED due to its benefits. Either way, we can expect a display update fairly soon. Now, when it comes to Mac, we've been hearing an awful lot. Many people have been saying we're going to get a 15-inch MacBook Air very soon, and this is said to launch alongside a new 13-inch that also has an update with an M3 processor. This is according to Mark Gurman. However, it's possible they could have an M2, but it would be outdated soon. So that's a little bit up in the air, but it seems like we could get a new MacBook Air 13-inch and 15-inch as soon as maybe April, between spring and summer, according to Mark Gurman. And we also thought Apple forgot about the iMac, as it's been strangely absent from the M2 upgrade. Apparently, according to Mark Gurman in his Power On newsletter, Apple is planning to update the iMac to M3 and not M2, and nothing else will change. Same colors and everything else like we have now, but it would just get an M3 upgrade later this year. There's still no mention of a 27-inch iMac, sadly, though. So far we haven't heard anything about that or an iMac Pro. We're still waiting for Mac Pro as well. Apple's also working on an AR headset. We've mentioned this many times, and a new patent hints that Apple is working to bring continuity to the headset. This would allow you to seamlessly go from your Mac or iPhone or iPad to the headset and continue working on whatever you're working on. It makes a lot of sense, and Apple was granted that patent. Apple is also said to be working on technology for its upcoming headset that would assist people with eye diseases. While there's no specifics, according to Mark Gurman, Apple is working on it where they could help people see maybe increased text sizes, or there's different techniques that help those with extreme nearsightedness to be able to see better. So that's something we could see be updated in that headset, and Apple has made a huge priority for accessibility overall, so that makes a lot of sense. So hopefully we'll see all of this very, very soon, at least the MacBooks probably soon, as well as that updated iPhone 14 with the new color as soon as tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts on a new yellow color and everything else. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And of course, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.